Lock yourself away with a true crime podcast.
Who is it that's missing?
It's my dad.
Dead Man Running.
They're now searching for a wanted man who may have staged his disappearance to escape justice.
Intrigue to catch a scorpion.
I'm going to try to track down one of the biggest players in this trade in Desperate People.
A very British cult.
They are brainwashing people.
For Most Wanted podcasts, listen on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
I'm really pleased that I can sit here this morning or this afternoon and put out those names, because it makes the tournament feel a little bit more real.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast. I am Alasdair Lamont, and as we record, Steve Clarke has just announced his provisional Scotland squad for Euro 2024. So, hot off the press, we've quickly assembled a crack team to bring you reaction and analysis of who's made the cut and who misses out.
Good dummy by Wright, and Jack will score!
Oh! What a strike from Ross McCrory. He's capable, isn't he?
Here's a chance. James Forrest takes a touch and shoots and scores!
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
So, I said a crack team, I was only joking though. It's afraid we could only manage Kenny Miller and Tom English, but nonetheless, gentlemen, thanks for joining me. How are you feeling about having seen the squad? Excited by it?
Kenny, is the Scotland great? You go first.
Well, I've been excited for the tournament. I've been excited for it to come around. Obviously, we're not far away now, a few weeks away for the big opening fixture against Germany. The squad, to be honest with you, getting this extra three men in the squad and the three extra bodies they could take to Germany with them, that was where the kind of real intrigue lay with me, to see exactly how it would go and where he would fit them in. And there's not too many surprises in terms of the squad, but I was a little bit surprised to see that many defenders. That might tie into things and maybe players necessarily not being fully fit, or still maybe being questionable whether they're going to actually make the plane to Germany or not. But I wouldn't have minded to see maybe a few more attack-minded players in that squad. But in terms of surprises, obviously Ben Dokes he is a surprise. I suppose he's a wild card, but he's also someone that we were talking about 7-8 months ago, that if he was fit, he could be one that could make that plane, given the attributes and the quality that he's got in that attacking area. So it's I'm excited about the tournament. I think the squad never really held too many surprises. Even James Forrest getting back in it with the form that he showed at the end of the season, it might have been more of a surprise that he wasn't included, again, given those extra 3 places made available to Steve Clarke and his staff. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Now, again, all eyes will switch on these 2 games that we've got coming up, and then the 2 guys are going to get cut. That's where we're going to be at now. Who's going to miss out? So it's it'll be interesting to see that. Again, I've got my own thoughts on kind of how that'll go, but what do I know?
Well, we'll get more of that certainly over the next 20 minutes or so. Tom, you just hang fire before we get your initial thoughts, because what we're going to do first of all is just listen to a bit of what the head coach Steve Clarke was saying as he spoke to the media just a short time ago.
I think with the makeup of the squad and the number of players I've probably got about half a dozen players that are not playing regular or coming back for injury. So just to go a little bit bigger gives us a little bit more breathing space. Can have a look at them over the 10 days plus the 2 friendlies. So it's just to buy a bit of time. And the squad is not always just about who plays. It's also about who doesn't play. And the ones that don't play or don't get many minutes are just as big a part of the squad moving forward as the ones that do play, because they control the harmony of the group, if you like. They're the ones that can be 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks hopefully, without minutes on the pitch. And you tell a professional player that you're going to be involved for that length of time and not get too many minutes on the pitch. It can be a big ask for some people. So to get the balance right was quite tricky. Ultimately, there's going to be 2 very difficult conversations. The good thing about it is it won't be a telephone call. It'll be a sit down, face to face, and I'll just have to tell it like it is. But it will be 2 difficult conversations. I think they're capable. I think it's a good group of players. Obviously, our aim is to be as competitive as we can be in all the matches. I believe that if we play to the best of our abilities, then we could be, and I mentioned could be, the first Scottish team come out of the group stages, and that would be a magnificent achievement, but that will be rare.
This is the Scottish Football Podcast.
Tom, Steve Clarke, I thought it was quite interesting that he kind of started speaking about the half dozen players or thereabouts who there are still kind of lingering doubts about, in the sense of, are they going to be fit enough to travel, or are they even going to have returned from injury, or guys like Grant Hanley, for instance, who's barely played in the last few months. Liam Cooper, likewise. Stuart Armstrong hasn't played at all since he was stretchered off recently. So it might be that this whole culling of the squad, only 2 places to be chopped off, but it might happen almost naturally with these guys who are still trying to recover from injury.
Maybe, Al. I mean, if you look at it, Grant Hanley, 8 minutes since March the 6th. Ryan Jack has not played since March the 7th. Stuart Armstrong, as you say, not played since April the 20th. And Ben Doak hasn't played since December the 14th. So that's 4 that you'd have to have concerns over. They must all be, like Clarke. If Clarke had serious misgivings about these guys, he probably wouldn't have picked them.
Mm-hmm.
So you hope, say a Ben Doak, he hasn't played since December, but Clarke must have got reassurances that he's ready to play. Or else I don't think he'd go down that road as a wild card, And it is a bit of a concern for him, for sure. Absolutely. I'm delighted to see Doak in the squad. Because he does give, as Clarke says, he gives something different. He gives that pace, that incredible pace that they don't really have anywhere else. But there are concerns. You look at the right side, right wing back, right back, right wing back. It's Anthony Ralston and McCrory, and kind of not a lot else, unless you're going to move Tierney over there, which I don't think you do. So while it's a very exciting day, you look at the squad and you think, you pine for Aaron Hickey and Nathan Patterson and Lewis Ferguson. You put those 3 into that squad and it looks a whole lot stronger.
Yeah, it does, Kenny. Let's talk about the right wing back role. And it is essentially the wing back role, isn't it? Because I think Steve Clarke, more often than not, is going to go with the 3 at the back, therefore using wing backs. So he's brought Ross McCrory in, who has been in squads before but hasn't played. Anthony Ralston's played for Scotland, and as far as I've seen, never let them down. I just wonder if McCrory, who has been playing as a wing back since he's recovered from injury and been playing for Bristol City, does that maybe give him the edge over Ralston, who is, when he plays for Celtic, playing in a full back role? Is that a big factor in this?
I think we'll see in these couple of friendlies exactly where Steve Clarke's head's going to be at in terms of that position. I mean, you're right, Ross McCrory, he's not got any caps. He's been in a squad, but he's not made onto the pitch yet. So if you see him getting a run out in these next games, it could be a tester to see, listen, how is he going to fit in? Is it going to suit him? There's no doubt, like you say, Tony Ralston's not let the team down at all, but that's the one area I think everybody knows. We've been feeding it for a number of months, so this is no surprise. It's not as if it's been out of the blue. We pretty much knew where we were going to be at with it. The problem just is there is actually no other options that are of the same level. And that's where we're at with it. So Steve Clarke's having to find a workaround, at a really bad time. Like, you're talking weeks away from the opening game against Germany, and we're looking at an uncapped player that could be in the driving seat to actually play. So by that time, by the time the Germany game comes around, obviously Ross McCrory could potentially have 2 caps, and by the way, he could come into the role. There's one thing for sure I'll suit. He's got the physicality to go all day up and down that right side. There's no questions about it. He's been a player since, I've known him well since he came through Rangers as a young boy. So he's always been that player as what has been his best position. You know, he's featured at right back, he's featured at centre back. He was actually getting played as that holding midfielder role for a little bit at Rangers as well, whereas he was never ever going to play there. For me, he was always going to be a right centre back or even a right back, right wing back. And the physicality and the physical element of the role, he'll deal with that no problem. It's just going to be, he's just not going to have the same types of attacking qualities as what Hickey or a Nathan Patterson have got. That being said, in that first game, that might not be required too much. You know, he might need to be a really solid defender and getting back into position and covering his defenders, his centre back really, really well, and being aggressive and again being a good presence in the box to deal with crosses or set plays, vice versa going the other way. So it might actually suit him in that first game, but as an area of real concern for everybody because, like he says, the quality of Patterson and Hickey in particular for me, it's just not going to, we're not getting a like for like change, where I think you're talking about guys like Lewis Ferguson. Lewis Ferguson's a loss to the squad, and I was really, really disappointed for the player, you know, after having a couple of wonderful seasons. Again, brilliant years, finishing off with obviously a really serious injury which has ruled him out, so I'm disappointed for the boy. But he's not impacted the starting lineup the way an Aaron Hickey has, or he's still yet to prove that he's the guy to play ahead of your Stuart Armstrongs, your Ryan Christies, your John McGinns, because that's who he's up against to play in that area of the pitch. So up until this moment, he's been more of a substitute, playing more of a supporting role in that position. So, and I think that's what it would have been in the Euros initially anyway. So it's a big loss for the squad, no doubt about it. For the starting lineup, for me, no so much.
What about the goalkeeping situation then? Obviously, 4 keepers named in the 28. I think even when you know it was expanded to the 26 from 23, the likelihood is surely that he'll probably only take 3. He wasn't actually asked if there's any chance that he will take 4. But Tom, will one of those culls come from the group of 4 keepers?
Certainly. Do you think? And again, you know, you'd have to assume that that Gunn is going to be there. You have to assume that Clarke and Gordon are going to be there. Liam Kelly, to me, at this remove, looks like the one to miss out. So that's one of the 2. To go back to it, like, McCrory has to deliver for Steve Clarke. He has to, because they're so short on that side. It's only Ralston and himself, really. So McCrory, if he shows up well, I think he goes to Germany. Equally, I think if Doak shows up well, he also goes to Germany, because they don't have anything like a Doak in the team with that pace, with that ability to beat a guy, you know. So I think he would really like to bring Doak to Germany. So where is that other player coming from? If those 2 guys show up well in the 2 friendlies and in training and all the rest of it, well, he's got 7 centre-halves. Does he need 7 centre-halves? And he's got 8 kind of midfielders, excluding the wide players, Forrest and Doak. Does he need 8 midfielders? Ryan Jack. Does he? Now, he spoke very effusively about Ryan Jack in his press conference.
Obviously, Ryan's been quite an important part of the squad and the team, and he's in my time as head coach. Like you said, he missed the last Euros, unfortunately, with an injury. He hasn't had the best finish to the season with Rangers, but I know he's been fit for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it just hasn't been selected at the club, which is unfortunate for Ryan. But I think he deserves to be there. He's a midfield player who's a little bit different to the other type of midfield player that I've got. So that was the thinking behind Ryan.
But Ryan Jack's injury profile is not great. At centre half, is it a toss up between Cooper and Suter if he has to lose another centre half? These are the kind of games that people will be playing right now. Who's going to be the other guy? Definitely one goalkeeper is going to lose out, but who's the other guy?
Well, Kenny, I think you've got a different opinion in terms of which keeper will miss out, but let's assume that 28 are all fit to travel. So which keeper and who else misses out for you?
Well, I think it'll be a defender. There's just too many defenders on that. Even on when you got the extension to the 26 man, I just thought that's a real chance. Again, we're seeing it really with James Forrest and Ben Doak. I absolutely agree with Tom. Ben Doak has to go. Ben Doak's a player we were talking about back in October, November time. saying this could be the wild card, because again, Steve Clarke, I was just reading a little bit there about what he was saying in relation to Doak.
Well, Ben's got obviously a lot of talent. He catches your eye. I think the pace would be something that we haven't got in abundance in the squad, so it's something a little bit different. He's a young man, he's got a lot to learn in the game. I've never had the chance to work closely with Ben, so it just seemed like the right opportunity to put him in. The squad going from 23 to 26 just made it something that I thought I should do, so we'll have a look at Ben and see how he does.
Talking about he's got that real pace, and it's something we've not really got in abundance. Well, we've actually not really got any great pace at all through our squad. We've got guys that are strong enough runners, but in terms of having real pace that terrifies defenders, we don't have it. And Ben Doak has it in spades. So there was someone we were talking about. The question was, would he be fit and available? Well, now, like Tom says, Steve Clarke must have been told he's been training, this is where he's at. Absolutely. If you're looking for impact and serious pacey impact off the bench, this guy will be ready. So he's in there. I'm absolutely delighted he's on there. Delighted to see James Forrest as well at the top end of the pitch. I just think the other cut with the goalkeeper has got to be a defender, and I think, Tony Ralston and Ross McCrory have all really got on that side of the pitch. So for me, it's going to be a centre back, and it's what centre back is it? It's not going to be Jack Hemming. It's not going to be Porteous. It's not going to be Tierney. Clearly,
McKenna. It's not going to be McKenna. McKenna will go.
Not going to be McKenna. So you're looking at between Cooper, Hanley, and Suter. Suter's the one that came late to the party. You know, he's only kind of made it back into the national team over the last kind of few months. Again, it would be an obvious leave out, but it would also depend on the fitness of Hanley, where exactly he's at. What you've also got with Ross McCrory as well, if needed, he could fill in on that position. You know, he could easily fill on the right-hand side of a back three as well. So you don't need all the centre-backs that are in the squad. So for me, it'll be a goalkeeper and it'll be a centre-back. There's no doubt about it.
I noticed you avoided my question as to which goalkeeper it was going to be.
Oh, sorry. No, absolutely not. I'm not avoiding it. I've said all along, I think the fact that Zander Clarke, Angus Gunn and Liam Kelly have been in the squad through all the campaign and have been for a couple of seasons now, I've always said it would be harsh, or in my opinion, it would be harsh for them to miss out on a Euros. He's got so many caps, so much experience, and you know what? Craig Gordon at the top of his game, he's probably the best goalkeeper who we've probably still got. Unfortunately, he's only found his way into the Hearts team towards the end of the season. I think he might miss out. That's just my general feeling on it. And it's based on the fact that he maybe played a handful of games or so at the end of the season. By the way, in moments, did look rusty in moments in his comeback games. And I just feel that, again, the way Steve Clarke see if Craig Gordon was going to play and he felt he was going to play, then obviously he's going to go. See if you're bringing him along to be a number two, to Angus Gunn, for me, I'm not seeing the benefit of that.
No, not from a kind of experience in the squad and what he would bring to the squad. I've heard people talk about that. Is that not enough for you?
Well, listen, I think you hear that generally when it's an older player and what he could bring. Do you actually know? Again, do you actually know that he's going to bring that? Do you actually know that he's going to be this positive influence? Again, these are the things that you just don't know. You kind of just throw these kind of statements out with an experienced player. Craig Gordon's been a number one. He's been a number one at pretty much the majority of his Scotland career. And deserved to be so, by the way. It's a completely different situation when you're not playing and now you need to be that positive guy in and around the building. By the way, I've actually probably never seen Craig in that situation, so I can't even comment on what he would be like in it. So I just think there's been a lot made about the squad and the harmony and the team spirit and things, and I don't know, would it eat away at that a little bit if someone who's been there over the course and distance with the campaign getting left out? Again, this is just my thoughts on it. I've said that and I've been quite consistent with it. I really believe it would be harsh on your Zander Clarkes and Liam Kellys if they were to be left out.
Let's consider people who maybe just missed out. And I touch on again the fact that there are a few players that Steve Clarke is not yet 100% sure will make the plane. So let's say 2 or 3 outfield players miss out through injury. Who's been really unlucky just to miss out and who might yet get that late call, do you think?
I'm not sure anybody's been unlucky to miss out. I would like to have seen Ryan Fraser in the squad. He's playing at a very high level with Southampton. He'll be playing at Wembley on Sunday in the Premiership playoff final. I know there are issues there. He hasn't covered himself in glory in terms of turning up for squads and then pulled out of a squad in November 2021, I think it was, for the Moldova game, and then was photographed training with Newcastle a few days later. Didn't go down well with Steve Clarke, although I have spoken to Steve Clarke subsequently. He says, look, that wasn't an issue. It's not an issue now. It was then, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But Fraser has been very good, a season-long loan spell at Southampton. But I understand kind of why he's not there. Tommy Conway, I thought might make it. Bristol City striker, a very young player. I thought he might be brought along for the experience. Maybe not to start, but just to, because he's obviously a very talented player. He's not in it. I don't think anyone...
Where would you have fitted him in a bit, Tom, if you thought he could have made it? Like instead of someone, or maybe take a defender in and put him in?
I'd probably take a defender out. I hadn't factored in Doak, to be honest. I didn't think Doak was fit enough to make it. I definitely, like you, Kenny, I see too many centre-halves there. So I'd probably remove one of those centre-halves. I'm delighted that Doak is there. Very excited about that selection. I'd have taken out one of the centre-halves. I'd have put Conway in because he's a regular goal scorer, doing well with his club and the 21s. But he's not there. There was chat about Conor Barron. A lot of chat about Conor Barron. I don't think you can call Conor Barron unlucky. There's a bit of chat about Danny Armstrong. Can you call him unlucky? I don't think unlucky, but if he'd been selected, you'd say, well, fair play. He's had a brilliant season.
What about, guys, we heard a lot of talk. In fact, Steve Clarke was asked about Tino Livramento there at the end of his news conference and gave a very guarded answer.
Not half.
Do we assume that, can we just assume now that any overtures that were made to the likes of Livramento and indeed Harvey Barnes, that they were unsuccessful and these guys are just not in the equation at all?
I would need to talk to Clarke to find out if any overtures were made to both of those players, because it wouldn't be in his style to do so. He's always said that he'll wait for players to come to him. So if he's made an exception in this case, it'd be very interesting. But clearly, Livramento is a young fella, and he's a very talented young fella, and I would imagine he would see his future with England. I was holding out a little bit of hope for Harvey Barnes because he's that bit older. He's a very talented player, but he's nowhere near the England squad. So I was kind of hoping that maybe Steve Clarke would have picked up the phone to Harvey Barnes and say, how about it, Harvey? England don't want you. We'll have you. Be glad to get you. But it hasn't happened.
Kenny, just to kind of begin to wrap up, for you overall, is this a squad that's going to get Scotland out of the group stage of a major tournament for the first time in their history?
Listen, I still believe so. I mean, you can go on about like people are missing and things, but it's just that one position. We've just been really, really unfortunate that our two starting players in the same position have actually picked up injuries, So it's an opportunity for someone who could grasp it. But I still believe the way this tournament's set up, with the opportunities it is there now, that it may only take one win. And I genuinely, if we're looking at our squad right now, if we had lined up the Hungary squad next to the Scotland squad and the Switzerland squad up against the Scotland squad, I genuinely would be looking at saying, well, our players are playing at good levels, better levels. Some of our players are playing at better levels, some of our players aren't. Some of the players are better, some of the players aren't. It's going to be, for me, there's no reason why we can't beat Switzerland or Hungary or both. And I think we've even shown against good level opposition, again, for half a game almost against the Netherlands. Well, we're absolutely outstanding. And not just hanging on and dogged defend, actually controlling the game and creating opportunities. So, even in Germany, it's going to be tough, and I think most people would be looking at that and think, right, we might go off to a losing start, we may, but we've got two really winnable games for me. That if we can win one of them, that could be enough to get us through. And like you've said, it's the first time in history that a Scotland team have qualified for the knockout stages of a major tournament. And I believe this group can do it. In fact, I believe this group will do it. I believe that this team will get through the knockout stages of the Euros.
Kenny, you're going too early. You're going too early with the passionate war cry.
I've been too early. I've been way too early. This is my time, Tom. This was my time.
Listen, will they make it through? I haven't a clue. I don't know. They're 7 without a win. You want to see them win in the next 2 friendly games so they get to Germany feeling good about themselves. You want them to get there without any more injuries, because Steve Clarke has had a horrible run of bad luck on that front. And Germany, I think, are the best team in the group. Not that long ago, the people were saying, myself included, Germany look a little bit vulnerable. Not anymore, they don't. Hungary and Switzerland, both winnable, both losable. It's so hard to call.
I prefer to go to the positive, the winnable side of it, by the way, and not the losable side.
I hope you're right, Kenny.
We'll have further in-depth discussions to come over the next 3 weeks or so and beyond. Remember, for more in-depth news, analysis and reaction to the Scotland squad, head on over to the BBC Sports Scotland website or mobile app. There's never a quiet day in Scottish football, so we publish new episodes bright and early every weekday morning to keep you up to speed with everything that's going on. And as if today's excitement wasn't enough, we've got a couple of big episodes coming up on Thursday and Friday as we look ahead to the Premiership playoff final and this weekend's Scottish Cup finals. So if you haven't done so already, just follow or subscribe to the Scottish Football Podcast wherever you listen. Bye for now.
Sacked in the Morning is back.
I got the ball and I put it on the spot, and as I got up, it was literally the best feeling I've ever had. And believe me, I spent a lot of money on feelings in my life.
Joining Craig Levine and myself, Amy Irons, will be some of football's top managers, best characters and most colourful players as we reveal what exactly goes on inside the dugouts and dressing rooms up and down the country.
I had a lad the other week and I saw him, he was playing, the first half he was playing the opposite wing. He had a set of gloves on and short sleeves. And I thought to myself, I can't wait till next half till he comes near me.
As the manager comes in, he smashes the door open, the jacket's off, shirt sleeves are up. We're thinking, here we go. We're all nudging each other like school kids and giggling.
Sacked in the Morning. Listen now on BBC Sounds.